fear as a strategy, right? Um, I believe I said in my last video that, fear is your body's way of protecting you from discomfort, pretty much. And I mentioned that discomfort, doesn't have to be uncomfortable, which is whatever, weird, right? Um, it's like almost like evil is what you make it, kind of. Discomfort is what you make it, what you allow it to be in your life. If you can be sad about something, just the power of feeling, the power of emotion. Like I said, fear is not a feeling, it's more so, a tool, it's a tactic, right? So, feeling, if you can be sad and discouraged, you could also be empowered. That energy that you put into being discouraged, defeated, you know what I'm saying? You can transmute that energy, right? You can use that to your benefit. You can use that to power up a different version of yourself, to allow yourself to evolve and expand. You know what I mean? On this human plane, on this physical plane. I mentioned that as well, just the difference between your physical being and your spiritual being. Like, you are not here to be accepted by, you know, everyone, essentially. Like, you're not here to be approved of. You're here to learn. You're here to experience this shit. You know what I'm saying? So if we can use fear for bad, why can't we use it for good as well? You know? So, example, like with me lately, I really used to have a fear. I won't even say I used to, because this is something that I'm, actively healing, actively, examining. um, just a fear of abandonment, and this is something that I uncovered through examining my childhood, examining, my parent wounds and things like that, and this fear that I developed, that I conditioned myself to believe in, right? A fear of being abandoned, right? Abandonment, rejection, and now as I've grown older and I've gotten to know myself better and I realize where that comes from and how I created that fear, I also decided, you know what I mean, to counterattack that fear. Now I have a fear of self-abandoning. Now I have a fear, because when my gut tells me something, I'm on it. You know what I mean? Like, no more second guessing, no more accommodating other people over my own feelings. You know what I mean? Like, that worked when I was in survival mode. That worked when I was living in fear. That worked when, I didn't trust myself. But now I'm at a point in my life where, like, I won't let you get me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just gonna have to fuck around and find out type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm betting on myself every time. You know what I'm saying? If something doesn't feel right, if I'm not feeling it, If my body is letting me know that this ain't it, oh, you're done. You know what I'm saying? You're done. Like in any event, you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm at in my life right now. Where now I'm counterattacking these fears, and I'm creating other fears, that will now um help me shift, you know what I'm saying, my reality, you know what I mean? Like, so developing a fear of self-abandonment, because a fear of failure is sort of broad, like that's not, fear of failure, because I'm not afraid to fail. You shouldn't be. That's also a fear that is created, because it's like a fear of, why are we afraid to fail? You know what I mean? Why would what's fearful about that, right? It's avoiding exposure. It's avoiding humiliation. It's avoiding um having to pick yourself back up. You know what I'm saying? Having to bounce back. A fear of failure is just almost like avoiding the work. You know what I'm saying? I think that's ultimately what the strategy is when it comes to fear. So use it to your advantage. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, use it to your advantage, um, in a way that will allow you to use fear as an opportunity, right? Using the discomfort as a sign. Like I said, it's a checkpoint almost. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because it's like when I go down the list of, fear of rejection, fear of vulnerability, fear of, all of these things are like, what is it called? Damn, I looked it up the other night. Like, it's like fear of sensitivity, you know, and it's fear of that that gut feeling. You know what I'm talking about? And it's a combination of things. You know what I'm saying? It could be anxiety. It could be embarrassment. It could be like, you know what I'm saying? Because I think like scared, frightened, like those are feelings. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just a difference there. Um, because like there are situations that when being afraid, being fearful, being scared is, you know, expected, or it's, you know, but in certain situations, like I mentioned in the other video, with you being, afraid or fearful of rejection and fearful of things that require emotional maturity, you know what I'm saying? Things that require emotional capacity, you being able to not accept discomfort and defeat as invalidation. You know what I mean? Like, just because you didn't get the job doesn't mean you're not qualified. You know what I mean? Like, just because that relationship doesn't work out doesn't mean that God isn't preparing you for the next, or that you aren't being sought out type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's about the shift. You know what I'm saying? It's about allowing yourself to change your mind, like giving yourself permission to change your mind. You know what I mean? You are um like an expression in itself. You know what I mean? Like, um an expression of God, you know. So it's like how dare you let fear, you know, dictate your life? Because fear is not of God. Mm. God doesn't give you the spirit of fear, you know, and that's something that has always stuck with me. There are certain things that I genuinely retained as a kid going to church every Sunday. You know, things that like stuck with me that I didn't really understand at the time, maybe or practice. You know what I mean? But things that really stuck with me, and that's one of those things. Like, damn, like, you know, if fear is not of God, and jealousy, envy, and you know what I'm saying, like, is fear a sin? You know what I'm saying? Like, is fear, and it's just like, it just makes you think about how the world is like almost rooted in fear. You know, like, how do you control the masses? Like, how do you control a people, a thing, a being? You know, like, everything nowadays is fear mongering. Everything in the news, social media, you know, the access that we have now to all this shit that is, it keeps you, period. Like, it keeps you, you know what I mean? And they make you feel like the only thing that's you can control or that's worth controlling is how people perceive you, you know, how you're seen, you know what I mean? So then, you know, you're focused more on what you look like from the outside in. You know what I mean? That's something that I just recently came to the realization about, that I have been living. Damn, I don't even have my phone over here. I just sat down and started going. I've been living outside of myself, is what I said. And that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? That, like, I have been, like, on the outside looking in. Like, whole time. You know? Um, and now I'm operating from the inside out. You know? I've been so concerned with how I'm perceived because of my need for validation, that it's like I only see myself through the eyes of others. And so I'm always trying to control that perception. I'm always trying to control people's perspective. Perception. Yeah. I'm trying to control how you see me, because I don't want to be. Damn, I'm like, the words are coming to me: derailed, dismantled. Like, those words just came to me. Like, I don't want to be, um, you know, challenged. You know, that's really what it boils down to. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to step on no toes. I don't want to cause no kind of, nothing that's going to have to make me, you know, honor my feelings, honor myself. Nothing that's going to have to make me stand up for myself, speak up, or, you know what I mean? So I'm actively avoiding learning about what I'm made of and what I'm capable of, because I don't want people not to like me. I don't want people not to praise me. You know what I'm saying? It's like praise versus insult. That's how it is with me. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you don't love me, you fucking hate me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so, and if you hate me, then I'm a bad guy. I'm a bad person. Or, if you hate me, then I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of um, feeling good about myself. You know, that's something that I realized that, I have struggled with, and now that I'm more in tune with myself, I'm more in tune with my body, my mind, and my spirit. I am able to see now how fear is not real. Just as I created that false perception of myself, you know what I'm saying? I created that fear of being perceived because of how I feel, because of my lack of self-awareness, right? And yeah, like, I'm at a point in my life where, like, I'm dealing with the shit. You know what I'm saying? I'm healing. I'm actively healing. You know, I can't blame anyone for anything. You know, I can only integrate, transmute. I can only learn, bro. I can only explore. I can only continue to examine myself, because truly everything that's happened to you from the time you blessed us with your existence, you've been conditioned by the world around you, and you had no choice in the matter up until a certain point, and then by that point, when it's time for you to make your own decisions and take control of your own life, your values and standards are based on something that you was taught, something that you were made to believe, you know, and you get to a point where you want to like release yourself, like free yourself from these fears, because you realize that in order for me to do what I need to do, in order for me to be truly fulfilled in this life, you're gonna get this if you get it. You know what I mean? Because everybody ain't, it's not for everybody. But if you get it, you see me, you see what I'm talking about. In order for me to do what I need to do, in order for me to do what God has called me to do, in order for me to serve my purpose in this earthly realm, I have to free myself, essentially from the restraints of perfectionism. I said that in the last video too. Like, I have to free myself. And that's what I'm here to help you do. We're going to wrap it up right there. I appreciate you tuning in. Like, we're going to get to the root of it.